is gardening week. With the long weekend approaching and everyone planting their gardens, we thought it was the perfect week to get Owen's top tips. Hey, Owen.
Hello.
How's it going?
Doing well, doing well. It's gardening season.
Gardening season. I was like,
well.
this is your peak time.
That's right.
Yeah.
Everything's green now instead of just gray.
Yeah,
So,
it's very exciting.
yeah, absolutely.
So today you're going to talk about combating some of like the biggest issues that a lot of people have and challenges that people have with their gardening.
That's right, absolutely. And so I'm going to say right off the top, prevention is what you want to do. Okay. It's like our own health. Preventing things before they happen is the best way. Treatment can be tricky. So one of the really basic things that we always want to talk about is the soil.
Oh, okay.
And healthy soil equals healthy plants. So what we're trying to do with the soil, and we've got this very handy soil food
This
web
is the most
diagram.
high-tech I've ever seen you be,
I
Owen.
know. We're getting real sciencey today. That said, I feel like this is like a grade 5 science kind of thing that we looked at. But basically the idea is, you know, all the energy is coming from the sun, the plants pick it up, and then when they die, they turn into organic matter. And organic matter is the basis for everything that happens underneath. So there's all kinds of life that lives off of that organic matter. And we want to have all of these things living and thriving in the soil, because it makes our plants healthier. So if all of this is working well, the plants are also happier, which means we need to do less with them. So that's the key part.
So let the bugs and birds do your work for you.
Yes, as much as you can. So the key thing that we do, especially when we're talking about our edible gardens, also annuals, is we add compost every year. This is a non-optional step. Definitely add compost every year. So down in the front there, we've got composted manure. It's probably the most readily available kind. But if you're making your own compost or you got a neighbor, by all means use that. A lot of municipalities are doing compost giveaways now as well,
right
so
on.
keep an eye out for that. So what we're doing is top dressing. So if you can imagine, the soil in the lower part of the garden looks like this. A lot of times it's sandy or clay. And then on the top, we're gonna put our compost. We don't actually even need to mix it because these creatures are doing that for you.
Ooh.
So we just need to top dress, but we put a pretty good layer, like 1 inch or 2 inches. That said, if you're starting from scratch with a brand new garden and your soil's terrible, it's worth mixing some of this in to start with.
Yeah.
It'll hold water better.
Give it a little bit of a head start.
Exactly.
And speaking of water.
We're gonna, here with our soaker hose. So this is gonna be something that is great for watering and also great for water conservation. So the way we use a soaker hose is we snap this onto any other hose or a tap, and it basically just seeps water right through.
Oh, neat.
So it's a good leaky hose.
Yeah.
So not the kind you don't want. And what we do here is we just lay it through the garden, right on top of the soil.
Okay.
And we kind of try and tuck it in underneath our plants. And this way we maximize how much water is actually going in, not so much evaporating. So we get the soil wet, but not the plants, which is going to help us
with the next issue.
Exactly.
Yes, which is fungus?
Fungus,
Gross.
yeah, exactly. This is the bad fungus. We have good fungus in the soil, bad fungus on our plants. So this is a very common problem for if you've ever grown zucchini or squash, cucumbers, and a lot of perennials like echinacea. So this is when they get that kind of white, filmy stuff that appears on the leaves. Very common for peonies as well, if anybody's growing those. And what that's doing is it's stopping the plant from getting all that energy from the sun. So it makes the leaves ugly and they're not green anymore. And it's hard to get under control once it's really spread.
Got it.
So good watering is the main thing. We want to not wet the leaves as much as we can. So that's why soaker hoses are amazing. We're just wetting the soil. And we water in the morning whenever possible, not the evening, because in the evening, those leaves are going to stay wet for a long time. So that just breeds more fungus. So in the morning, they'll dry out faster. That's good. And also, that's the time when plants will most readily be able to take up water.
Right on.
Now, that said, if you do get it, and if it's like a really damp, cool season, we have got some treatments for it. And so this is Bordeaux. This is a very, very old-fashioned fungicide. And that's copper sulfate. And then we also have garden sulfur here. And so these are both powders that we mix with water. You can also sprinkle them on the leaves, but I prefer to mix them. And you get a spritzer bottle like this or like a pump sprayer. And we're going to spray this all over the leaves. You want to like soak the leaves
So this
with
is good
stuff.
water. If it's got sulfur in it, it's good.
That's right, because this is going to kill the bad stuff. We also need to get underneath the leaves. That is really important, and that's a step people skip. Because a lot of fungus, actually, that's where it will develop its spores, is underneath the leaves. So you got to get that too.
Now, you did chat recently. We chatted about the good bugs, but you want to talk about that not all bugs are good bugs.
Yeah, that's true. We have both, and honestly, most of them are good. But we got to keep an eye out for the bad ones. So the key with bugs is finding out what they are. And it's a lot easier than it used to be because you can just snap a photo with your phone, put that into Google image search, and it does a really good job of identifying those bugs.
Oh, cool.
Because that used to be really hard.
Yeah, yeah. Sometimes they look exactly like another bug, and one of them's good and one's bad, and I don't know which one.
That's exactly right. So identifying that and then targeting the bugs is what we want to do. We don't want to kill all the bugs because some of them are really helpful. Some of them are actually, they eat the bad bugs. So, you know, we want to have those in the garden. We don't want to kill them with chemicals because they're going to help keep the bad bugs in check.
Okay.
Also, birds are super helpful to have in the garden. So putting a bird bath near your garden where they can come have a little bath and then hang out, because they eat caterpillars really frequently and a lot of beetles they'll eat as well. So Japanese beetles, robins love eating those. So if you can invite those in, they'll help keep the bugs in check.
Right on. Now, if you do have those bugs and maybe the birds, the other bugs aren't, the bad bugs are outweighing the good, what do we do?
So we're going to start with, these are all insecticides. We're going to start with BTK. So this is called a biological insecticide. So what we're using here is actually bacteria that makes a whole bunch of different caterpillars very sick.
Okay.
But it doesn't do anything to humans, doesn't do anything to almost every other bug. So it's really targeted on just the bad ones. So we were talking about like cabbage looper, very common. This will take care of that really effectively, and it's super safe, totally fine for organic gardening.
Okay, cool.
We also have insecticidal soap. This is kind of the next level up. This works for all kinds of things, really good for aphids.
Hate aphids.
Aphids are the worst. So this works really well for them because it basically just kind of coats them in soapy goo.
Okay.
And,
Sorry.
But it works really well. I know, it seems weird.
Just imagining them being like, what is going on?
It works really well, and again, totally safe, also fine for organic gardening. Doesn't do anything to anything that we're not spraying it directly on top of.
All right.
So those are gonna be the first two. Try those first, and then when it comes to spraying, it's exactly the same as our fungicide. We spray on the top and also on the bottom. Aphids love hanging on the bottom of the leaves.
Yeah.
So make sure you really soak the plants down. Frequent applications with that too, maybe every 3 or 4 days if it's really bad.
Okay.
You
Now,
can't do it too much.
What if those guys aren't working?
You gotta go get a little bit more heavy duty. So we're gonna go to a synthetic insecticide. So this is a pyrethrin insecticide. Check your local rules. Around the country, the rules vary as to how you can use this. So make sure you check wherever you are. But this is something that'll kill almost any bug, which is good for if we got something that's totally out of control, it's a little bit more powerful. But we also keep in mind this kills everything. So if we've got like bees, we don't wanna kill bees.
No.
That will kill bees.
Got it.
So you need to be really targeted with how you use it and try not to use it a lot.
Yeah.
But for some things, that's the only thing that'll get them.
Yeah.
But we just use it carefully.
Got it. Worst case Ontario, you're using this, but otherwise, stick to the soap.
That's right. And biologicals, if you can find those, there's a bunch of different versions of that. Keep your eye out for those. I love using them.
Oh man, Owen, I feel like you're keeping us all like bug and mold and all the things free. We're good to go. Thank you so much. And we're tackling tomorrow planting vegetables.
That's right. We're talking edibles.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. We'll see you then. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.